What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It is Logan, and today I have another reaction video. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hopefully you all are having a good Halloween, even with everything going on these days. I'm staying in. I'm not doing anything. I'm just chilling. Pretty much what I do best. So, yeah. There isn't really much to it. Today, I'm going to be doing, this video is actually going to be a little bit long because I'm going to be doing a Mr. Nightmare marathon. I think this is kind of my Halloween special this year, so anyway, let's get right into it, and let's get right into it. Yeah, that. Alright, let's go. 3, 2, 1, and let's... actually, before I get into it, first video is 3 true disturbing fall horror stories. I actually recorded another reaction, which it was really good. Had some really good reactions in it, but my SD card fucking corrupted on me. Like, I cannot get the damn thing to work, so I had to go dig out one of my other SD cards. So maybe this one will actually keep itself intact, so let's get right into it. Actually, I might do this video too. Okay, well, let's just get right into it. 3 true disturbing fall horror stories. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. You already start getting chills down your spine when you start hearing that heartbeat.
This local small amusement park that used to be opened by us would hold this annual event called Pumpkin Land, which was held on the Saturday before Halloween, where candies would be given out to kids
out your favorite candy.
Rides, and pumpkins would be scattered throughout the park for families to pick up and take home before leaving. I always looked forward to it, and this one particular year when I was 7, we were going right after my soccer game. The park also rewarded kids for coming in costumes, so I was going in my cliche Scream costume. Anyway, my parents took my 2 siblings and I, and when we got there, my brothers begged to go on the haunted house ride first, and then the roller coasters. Basically, they wanted to do the most thrilling rides first. Anyway, my mom and 2 brothers got in one of the cars for the haunted house ride. Since they only seated 4, my dad stayed with me on the line so we could ride together. And I think as I started to get cold feet, I felt like I needed to use the bathroom. So we got off the line. My dad led us to the bathroom. He went too, but I finished first, so I waited outside the bathroom. I waited for a while. I was kind of confused. Eventually I went back to the bathroom, and my dad wasn't in there. That's when I started to panic. I was alone in a huge crowd of people.
That's not good.
At 7 years old, I was actually scared of being lost. Eventually, a man came up to me and asked where my parents were. I told him I couldn't find my dad, and I asked him for help. He took my hand and said, "We're gonna go find them." I remember him leading me with a tight grip of my hand, and suddenly he pulled out his archaic Nokia brick cell phone and started talking to someone on the other end.
What the hell?
The only major thing I remember him saying was, "Oh, I'm with him right now," as he looked down at me and smiled. Then he said, "Okay," and hung up. He looked at me again and said that was my dad, and that he was waiting by the parking lot. He continued to lead me, but even at 7 years old, I wasn't an idiot. I was wise to the fact that my dad did not have a cell phone, and that this stranger probably didn't know my dad. How would he even know who I was if I was under a Scream mask? As we were approaching the front gate to the park, I spotted a female employee and started saying "excuse me" over and over until I got her attention. Then I said, "I don't know him, please help." The man defended himself, saying he knew my dad and was trying to get me to him.
That's
bullshit. The employee took my side and asked me to come stand by her so she could use the loudspeaker to find my parents. The man didn't stay a second longer after that.
Yeah,
he
his
walked away
ass
quickly
gone.
into the parking
He's
lot.
gone. He ain't sticking around.
The employee announced over the park intercoms that the child in a Scream costume was missing his parents and gave my name. Eventually my dad came running over, waving his hands. He was a nervous wreck. The employee told him of the potential predator and the possible attempted kidnapping, and that's when he lost it. When my mom came over, she was just as furious. My parents asked the manager to see the surveillance footage. Somehow at that time, the amusement park didn't have any surveillance cameras, according to the manager. Still, my parents thanked that employee for getting me away from that man, and we tried to have a normal day after that. I was too young to realize the severity of the potential situation I had just avoided. Obviously, remembering it as an adult is a lot more sickening to think about.
Yeah, that's not good. Oh, and here comes an ad. Right now, I don't care about politics. 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 This ad is going to be over now.
My mom and stepdad went on their honeymoon. I wasn't trusted to watch the house for the week, so they sent me to my Uncle Ronnie's farm. He lives with my Aunt Susie and my cousin Ronnie Jr. They have a spare bedroom upstairs that I stayed in. It's an old-fashioned style wooden farmhouse. It's big and nice, though. The spare bedroom overlooked the crops and the numerous scarecrows my uncle had scattered through the crops. This was in mid-October a few years ago, and my uncle was mid-harvesting his corn at this time of the month. He asked for my and Junior's help. Weirdly, it wasn't tedious work. I kind of enjoyed doing it. He wasn't using his combine. Instead, we were just hand-picking a bunch of corn. I had this little rolling basket-like thing that I was supposed to fill up. I admired the 3 scarecrows he had. They looked like he put a lot of work into them. They had sweatpants on and varying flannels, along with straw hats over their heads. When we were done picking the corn, I asked Uncle Ronnie how long it took to make those. He said a few hours at most, and he said they really do the trick keeping the crows away for the most part. That night after dinner, I played video games and smoked weed with Junior for a little bit.
There it is.
I just went to the guest room to do whatever on my laptop.
Pulling out weed. There we go.
Next thing I knew, a rock or something hit the window. It scared me for sure. There was no way that wasn't intentional. I didn't want to go look out the window to check, though. I just closed my laptop screen so there would be total darkness in the room. I crossed my fingers it wouldn't happen again. But when a second rock hit the window, my heart felt like it dropped out of an airplane. The room was still completely dark, so I gave it a minute before getting up to peek out the window. There was a full moon out, and one of the outside lights was on, both lighting up a decent amount of the crops and one of the scarecrows. I continued to look around, but when I saw something moving in the corner of my eye, I looked back at the scarecrow to see one of its arms waving at me. No.
Oh, come on.
I was hallucinating. The waving stopped, and the arm moved back down to its side. I shut the blind and wanted to throw up. I ran to Junior's room and opened the door, but by this point in the night, he was already asleep. I closed his door and checked downstairs for my aunt and uncle, but all the lights were off downstairs, so I checked their bedroom, and they too were both asleep. I went back to my room and lifted the blind just enough to peek out there.
Wake their asses
up! The light
up!
outside was now off, but with the bright moonlight, I was able to see the scarecrow was still hung up on the stick. I looked out that window for over a minute, waiting for it to move again. The longer I waited, the more I realized I must have been higher than I realized. I finally dropped the blind back down and climbed into bed. The next morning, I went downstairs to my Aunt Susie making us all pancakes. My uncle was already outside doing work. Aunt Susie called Junior down to eat before all the pancakes were gone. Around that same time, my uncle stormed into the house, asking, "Where did the goddamn scarecrows go?" My heart dropped. The 3 of us went outside.
No.
My uncle leading us to show us that all 3 scarecrows were missing from their posts.
This
That's
boy
when I told him about what I saw last
stole
night.
the scarecrows.
At first, I thought I just imagined it.
Or that motherfucker stole.
The nightmarish realization hit me that somebody did in fact throw rocks in my window. They did see me looking out, and someone was posing as a scarecrow. That night when we were all sleeping, the doorbell rang continuously at like 1 or 2 in the morning. I heard my uncle and Junior yelling in the hallway and running down the stairs, so I followed. When he opened the front door, the 3 scarecrows were posted up right in front of the porch, all with red paint stains covering them, mimicking blood. My uncle called the police and turned on all the outside lights on the property.
You gotta be kidding me.
Police, as well as my uncle, chalked it up to some stupid early Halloween prank by a bunch of immature kids. But the possibility that it wasn't, and that it may have been a much more hostile motive behind this, is what really freaked me out.
You gotta be kidding me. That's scary. And here comes another ad, so now here's another ad. Cool, your charger is 3 times faster for the iPhone. Okay, whatever. I don't care. Skipping now. Took a while for it to let me skip the fucking ad. Jesus.
It was November. All the leaves
YouTube,
were
what's up
shades
with
of
that?
yellow and orange. My favorite time of year to visit the countryside. I was with my girlfriend at her dad's upstate home, which was usually used as a summer home, but the two of us came up there to go camping in the nearby woods. The home had all the needed camping supplies, including the tent, so we parked there and took the camping stuff into the woods. Why? Just the experience of camping and sleeping in the woods, I guess. I've only been camping a few times in my life, but I liked camping in the fall because there's less bugs and of course you can't beat the foliage. We were camped out in a small circular clearing, just big enough for our tent and campfire. We sat around the fire for about an hour, eating and just talking. Then we went inside the tent. We kept the fire going as it made my girlfriend feel safer, and it added a bit of warmth. Besides the sound of the crackling fire, we eventually started hearing leaves crunching in the distance. My girlfriend and I looked at each other. She put her finger up to her lip. I could tell she was nervous. Fires usually repel wildlife from approaching, so as the crunching of the leaves got louder, it got more suspicious. The footsteps also sounded bipedal, like a human's footsteps. The crunches got louder until they stopped around the fire. Then we noticed the shadow outline of someone standing out there, and then they sat down in one of the chairs. But they didn't say a word.
Oh,
so I finally decided I was going to peek my head out and check. I looked out to the campfire, expecting to see someone sitting on one of the chairs, but there was no one out there. I got up on my legs to look around the campsite, into the trees and darkness. I didn't see anyone out there. My girlfriend was whispering something. It sounded like she was urgently trying to get my attention. So I crawled back inside, and she said, "What does he want?" I replied, "There's no one there." She replied, "What are you talking about? I see him in the chair right now." I looked at the wall of the tent, and saw the shadow outline of the person still sitting in the chair by the fire. I realized that was impossible, though. I crawled back out of the tent to look one more time, and both the chairs were still empty. I went back inside and said to my girlfriend, "We need to go right now." She didn't ask questions. She got straight up, took my hand, and followed me out of the tent. When she saw there was no one sitting in the chair, she screamed. I yelled at her to shut up, and I led us through the near total darkness in the direction back to the mobile home.
Sure, just tell your girlfriend to shut up.
We heard this horrible groaning sound not too far away from us, and one single loud crash of a tree branch or something. This caused both of us to scream, "Oh shit," and run even faster. How we found the property was by repeatedly pressing the car lock button until we finally heard the car horn. We went into the mobile home, locked the door, and hid under the covers in the safety of the bedroom. Still, I didn't feel entirely safe, being surrounded by nothing but woods in every direction, and I was paranoid that whatever was out there followed us. I let my girlfriend sleep while I stayed up listening for sounds. I thought I heard a clicking or something from the front door to the home, but that might have been my paranoia playing tricks on me. I fell asleep eventually, and when we woke up, we went back for the tent and supplies, scared shitless while doing so. Nothing was moved except for the one chair we thought we saw the shadow sitting in. It was knocked over. We hurried back to the car, drove home, and that was our last camping adventure.
Yeah. That would be enough camping for me for a while. Alright. Alright, let's get on to the next video. Next video is 4 bone-chilling true horror Halloween stories. Let's do it. Right about now. I'm gonna have fun editing this video.
My group of friends and I went to a local county haunted house attraction. It was by the edge of town. It opened every October of every year. It sat right by the woods appropriately and had 3 attractions: the main haunted house, a corn maze, and a haunted trail through the woods. I guess I'll name my friends now. Rod, James, and Bud. That's not his real name, that's just his nickname. We started with the haunted house, which was decently high quality and had a few good scares. Then we made our way to the corn maze. It started out kind of slow, just a lot of turns through the corn we'd have to make. But then the scary antics began. A guy dressed as a freaky scarecrow man emerged from the corn and screamed at us, causing us to scream as well. He started to chase after us, and we ran. I was in the back, of course, and the scarecrow was right behind me. Even knowing it's just a paid actor, you have this innate fear of something chasing after you, where you just feel like you have to run away. Somehow, through the thrill of running away through the corn, I lost all of my friends. It seemed like all of us ran in different directions. I lost the scarecrow man, though, and got back to the trail between the crops. This is where the nightmare began. I called and yelled and screamed for my friends as I made wrong turn after wrong turn. They never called back. In fact, it seemed there were no other visitors in sight. I had to finish the maze by myself. What choice did I have? I walked and walked for what felt like 20 minutes, and I heard bustling in the corn in front of me. I slowed my pace and kind of tiptoed past the noise, but it was pointless. Something reached out from the corn and grabbed my wrist and squeezed it tight. I actually cried out in pain and yelled, "Stop, you're hurting me." I was actually in shock how hard this paid actor was squeezing my wrist. Then he tried pulling me into the crops. I didn't see who it was. I just saw his hand and arm, covered by a black coat sleeve and black glove. I yanked myself out from the grip and backed away as the actor came out from the crops into the path. He was wearing a heavy winter coat, black jeans, and a blank black face mask. I didn't know what the costume was supposed to be, but I literally yelled, "Go fuck yourself, you actually hurt me." He started running at me, and naturally I turned and ran as fast as I could through the corn to lose him. I yelled back, "I'm reporting you," and I quickly lost him. After 5 minutes of running straight through the corn as opposed to following the maze of trails, I came to the edge of the maze and went to find an employee. I reported the actor to the employee, saying he used way too much force to the point that my wrist actually hurt. The employee said he wasn't sure who was wearing the specific costume I described, but that he'd look into it. I thanked him, and then I looked at my phone. I had a missed call from James. I called him back to ask where the 3 of them were. He said they tried finding me, then they gave up and went to the haunted trail in the woods. I said I'd meet them and hung up. I walked over to the start of the trail, where they had the Halloween ambiance blasting through a bunch of speakers placed throughout. I stepped into the woods, feeling like I was the only one around besides my friends. I tried playing catch-up to my friends, and I stopped in my tracks after spotting him again, blocking the path. It was the guy in the coat and black mask. He didn't even give me time to react or say something. Right away, he started legit charging full speed at me. I turned right and ran into the woods, expecting to lose him easier. This time I called back, "I'm calling the police." I wasn't actually, but I thought that might get this guy to just leave me alone. I ran deeper into the woods until I didn't hear him chasing me anymore. Then I sat down on the root of a tree to catch my breath. I had time to think. And one of my thoughts was, did that guy really follow me from the corn maze to here? Then I heard footsteps approaching. And of course, that exact moment, my iPhone started ringing. I silenced my phone, but now the footsteps had stopped. I pushed myself up off the root quietly and leaned to the side to get a view past the tree. It looked clear. I started to run back towards the path of the attraction, and immediately spotted him to my right. I said to myself, fuck it. I stopped and told him I'm suing the place because of him. But he didn't stop running at me. He got to me and pushed me to the floor. I didn't expect it. I was once again in shock. I got back up as fast as I could before he could get on top of me and booked it. He chased me, but when I got back to the path towards the entrance of the attraction, he stopped and turned around. I went straight to the little front office shack and asked for a manager. Some older guy greeted me, and I told him about the guy who was chasing me and attacking me. The man said they didn't have any actors wearing that specific attire.
Like I said.
So he called the police, and eventually I got my friends to meet me where I was. I stayed to describe the happening to the police when they showed up. I didn't have any marks to show them, but they still took a report and the place was closed for the night. We all went home after that. I haven't been to any haunted attractions ever since.
And here comes another ad. Jesus. And back.
The year I turned 13, my friend invited me and 2 other friends to stay at his house on Halloween night. He had a fairly large house outside of our town, and it was the perfect place to go trick-or-treating.
Alright, camera battery died. Let's just get right back into this. So here we go, starting back right now.
We decided it would be cool to go now to get sweets for a movie. So fast forward, we were near the end of our trick-or-treating, and at one house, a woman answered the door. She was tall and skinny with shoulder-length hair. Her house was disgusting. You could smell the odor of cigarettes from inside. She was quick to tell us that there were no more sweets left. However, she could go try to find something for us. After a couple minutes of waiting, she comes back with an old brown paper bag with old-looking candy inside. We kindly deny the bag and tell her we're getting picked up, so we better go. She grabs one of my friends and says, "No, please," but my friend pulls away from her, and then she quickly shuts the door.
Oh.
We knocked on a few more houses before hearing something going on near the parking lot of the housing complex. Someone exclaims, "They took my child, they took her, they took her." It was her, that woman. And that was my friend's parents' car that she was banging on. She was throwing herself at the car and hitting it with her fists. A couple of neighbors came out due to the commotion. They seemed to know who she was. They apologized to us and said it was a big misunderstanding. We quickly got into the car, and my friend's mom started driving us out. But we don't get far before the woman jumps in front of the car, claiming one of us was her child.
What the hell?
The neighbors once again pulled her away. It was later that night, however, when things truly began.
That woman's not right.
We stayed up late like any teenagers do at sleepovers, and we watched some scary movies. Out of nowhere, the light turned on in the hall. We could see it under the closed door of the bedroom. We assumed it was my friend's parents who were about to come in to tell us to get some sleep. However, no one came in. I decided to have a peep out the door. Nothing at all. My friends joined me to see why the lights suddenly turned on. Out of nowhere, my friend says, "It's her." And through a large window facing the backyard, we see that woman standing there, looking in.
Oh, come on.
However, the second she saw us stare at her, she ran away.
Are you
Disturbed by
serious?
this, we came back inside the bedroom and locked the door. We were obviously quite shaken up by this. Who is she? What does she want? We sat around for an hour, nervous, on high alert. However, we eventually did somehow manage to fall asleep. That morning, my friend's mom told us the situation at the housing complex shook her up so much that she thought she had seen that woman standing over her bed in the middle of the night. My friends and I never even told her we saw that woman at the house that night, which led us to wonder, what if, just maybe what if, that woman actually was inside the house that night? Are you serious?
And here comes another fucking advertisement. At least it isn't another politic commercial, so I don't really care. I voted anyway, but, you know, because I want my word to be heard.
Last year, Halloween was on a Wednesday.
Politic commercials are very annoying.
I was home alone. My dad works nights, and my mom was staying with her sister because our parents weren't getting along at the time. My sister was away at college, so it was just me, left to provide for the trick-or-treaters. My dad bought a couple bags of Kit Kats and told me he expected them empty by the end of the night.
I'm here by
I don't
myself
know why,
right
but
now.
My dad takes Halloween seriously.
Dad's at work and
I didn't get home from classes until around 6.
My mom's at a party.
So it was already dark,
you know,
and the kids were out in droves.
Like I said,
The second I dropped my bag on the couch, the bell
right the
rang.
fuck here.
And that went on for some hours. I was getting homework done later on in the night when the trick-or-treaters had mostly gone home. was sometime past 9 though. I remember that much, and the doorbell rang once more. It was the first time in over half an hour. I went to open the door with a near empty bowl of Kit Kats, expecting some kids, but instead it was just this lone guy, maybe 35 years old. He waved at me with a neutral expression on his face. I didn't open the storm door. I kind of just watched him, ready to shut the door on him. He stopped waving, then reached for the handle to the storm door and pulled it open. At that moment, I slammed the door shut in his face and locked it. I texted my family group chat that some old guy just tried opening the door. My dad joked that if he does it again, go outside and teach him a lesson. I decided that was it with opening the door for the night. I went back up to my room to finish my homework. Soon, I heard yelling coming from outside. I lost my patience and eventually got up to see what was going on. I slid open my window and looked down. There was that man again down below, looking up at my window, shouting at me.
Really?
He was mainly yelling that he needed help finding his son. I didn't believe him for a second. I texted my family again. My dad just said, ignore it, he'll go away. I left my room and shut off the light so that he'd go away. Then I went to the basement, which had no windows. I hung out down there to do my work, and all was quiet for a while. Then, flick, the power went out.
Oh, no.
My initial thought, that man outside tinkered with the electric box outside of the house. I stayed in contact with my family the whole time. After a few minutes, I heard the floorboards creaking above my head. Someone, as if I couldn't guess who, was inside the house.
No.
My mom and dad and sister all texted me to call the cops. I stayed put in the basement as it was the safest place at this point. The cops were en route. All I had to do was wait. The basement door then opened, and we stepped down the stairs, only halfway though. Even without power, a little bit of light from the upstairs poured into the basement, enough for me to see his legs. He was standing on the middle step of the staircase. And I swear, he just stood there for like 2 minutes. I heard him mumbling stuff. I won't even pretend I could understand any of it. After the longest, most painfully uncomfortable moment of my life, the man said into the basement, "I can see you."
No!
The whole time, his legs were actually facing me. Was he actually looking at me that whole time? Still, I didn't move, nor did he. He continued to stand there until there was a bang at the front door. Then he walked up the stairs, shut the door, and I heard creaking above again. I waited 20 seconds before running upstairs to the front door. By that time, it seemed the man had left my house, because the cops couldn't find him, even with my help. Stupidly, I left the back door unlocked, so he simply let himself in. As for the power, he messed with the electric box outside, as I predicted. I don't know if he did this on Halloween intentionally, or if it was just a coincidence, but something was wrong with that man. He didn't belong out in the streets.
Something's not right. And advertisement. And back. Normally I get the videos in the Premiere Pro before I actually react to them.
It was a Saturday.
But this time around, I just wanted to get to the reactions. And
my friend Tanner and I were set on doing something scary that night. And that ended up being a visit
putting
to
the videos into Premiere Pro first would have been
campus.
The better idea.
It was at the top of the hill, and some students referred to it as the Blair Witch House, simply because it sat all by itself on an enclosed property, and it had been abandoned for years. So, come 10 o'clock, Tanner drove us all the way up the road and parked his car in the dirt outside of the property. We walked up the hill to the house, and even just seeing the unlit house standing in the dark gave me goosebumps. We both came with backpacks full of tools, like flashlights, knives just in case, and he even brought a crowbar. Surprisingly, he didn't need it though, because the front door was already cracked open. This is where the flashlights came in, because of course the inside was as dark as it gets. The house seemed to be scrapped for just about everything, because nothing was left except junk. Nothing very exciting. Then there was a thump from upstairs. Tanner and I looked at each other, and we agreed to go upstairs and check it out. He led the way up the stairs, which were extremely rickety. We got to the top, and there was a small hall with 3 doors. We passed the first room, which was a tiny bedroom with an old collapsed bed frame still in there. There was a second door on the left. This one led to an empty bathroom. There was one more door, this one on the right of the hall. We stepped inside. This bedroom was definitely the master bedroom. There was a bed frame sitting in the center of the room still. There was once carpet on this wood floor, which had apparently been ripped away over the years. We stepped fully inside the room, looking for what could have made the thumping sound. Then, bang. The door to the room slammed shut, and there was suddenly a white flash that filled the room. Then another. It seemed like camera flashes. Tanner screamed and opened the door back up to flee the room.
Someone's fucking taking pictures.
I did the same. Neither of us looked for whoever was in there with us. In the moment, we were way too scared. We ran back to the car, and Tanner drove us back to campus. A week later, Tanner sent me a picture through text. He was holding a photograph in the picture. It was of the 2 of us in that bedroom of the house. He said they were left under his windshield wiper in the parking lot of our dorm building. I told him to throw them away and park somewhere else from now on. We only told a few close friends about this, and we never went near that house again.
What the fuck? Jesus. Holy shit. Okay. Alright everybody, well that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe for more content, and enjoy the rest of your Halloween. Actually, probably by the time this video is up, it'll be November 1st, but hopefully you guys had a great Halloween, gotten a lot of candy. Let me know in the comment section below, what were you for Halloween this year? I was myself for Halloween. See? I'm wearing the black jacket, cap backwards. I'm myself for Halloween this year. What are you guys for Halloween? Let me know in the comment section below. And how much candy did you get? And when do you predict it'll be gone? Me, this is my Halloween candy. I bought it from Walmart. Like, you know, I don't go trick-or-treating. I just got a whole bunch of York peppermint patties. There you go. Alright. Thank you all very much. Again, it's the last time I'm going to say it. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.